yesterday's soup, yesterday's goop. After I finished yesterday, after I left off yesterday morning, there's no way you can leave this stuff just sitting here with the heat on. It'll be just totally full of mold when I get back. So when I finished yesterday, knowing that I'd be coming back this morning, I switched off the heat, put the leftover soup into the pack, let it cool to room temperature first, and in the fridge it went. It stayed in the fridge overnight. And now it's come back to life here. And that's about the most we can keep it one day. We wouldn't dare keep it longer than that. And in summer we wouldn't even do this, not for one day. It's glue. And it was just too much danger of being moldy. So we have warmed over soup, warmed over glue soup this morning. Okay, what we've got, those of you who were here yesterday, those who were here yesterday know what we've got. It's a fresh, absolutely fresh batch of paper that's arrived from the paper maker last Thursday. It's the size, the dimension, I should use my words differently here. It's the dimension they call Onishikiban, sometimes known as Masaban. That's the way they make it. Actually, they make it in double, like that. They've got a bar in the middle, so they make two sheets at once as they're rocking it. The grain direction runs away from them as they're rocking. They send the paper to me in this size, this dimension. This is going to be used for the great waves, so we cut it in half, and there will be great waves. My brush isn't big enough to do the whole sheet all at once. We're almost there. The larger brush we were using yesterday comes about this far, but it's not quite enough to do it all at once. And we can't stripe this sizing. There's no way. It'll just give a double layer. So we cut this paper in half. So it's 30 sheets cut in half for 60. This will go to Yamamoto-san in a couple of days for starting his new batch of Great Wave prints. And he'll probably get about 50 good ones. We're not sure. He's getting pretty good at it. Our blocks are a bit difficult to use compared to a typical Great Wave set. But, so out of 60 sheets, we can get 50, I think. This paper's a little bit thin. The paper you saw me do yesterday was the large sheet called Takenaga. And it's heftier, it's thicker. This is thinner. This is designed for ukiyo-e prints rather than, more difficult, more complex, multi-layered prints. Someone's asking, can we expect a batch of Great Waves? Well, the prints will be coming out in a few weeks, but we first have to write to our waiting list, and there's now, I just closed my browser, I don't know, there's about 250 people on the list. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I don't know. Not all of those people will actually buy it. We've learned that when we send the next update, we've got a bunch ready, we send it to sort of 50 people at a time. And about, I don't know, a half to 2/3 of them get the print. So. Okay, let's get this rolling. Make sure I've got everything, all my ducks ready. 60 sheets of paper ready. First one's taped down. We've got this. We've got my flip sheet ready. The clips are waiting in the next room. The size is ready. It's been cooking there. It's been warming up. It's at 60 degrees. Let's do this thing. Got the right brush. Get to the end. Let it warm for a minute. The brush gets softened up. The list for the Great Wave, it's so frustrating for us, people want our stuff. We would love to be able to send it to them. If we could supply that print in a more constant fashion, my God, our sales would be so much higher, but we just don't have the labor. Fishing for a few loose fibers here. The fibers from the paper get back into the soup, they're carried back by the brush. Fishing in the soup. I think that's it, all I can see. How do you deal with demand for print outpacing the amount of use you want to put on a block set? Nothing else to say. We stop production. We just have to tell people to wait. There's nothing else I can do. I'm sorry. Yeah, a 5 months waiting time, but no, not everybody on the list is going to buy one. We really, that's our experience. A lot of people put their name on the list, and that was sort of an impulse. They wanted to buy it at that moment, but it's 6 weeks later when the name comes up, it's a different mood and a different feeling. So absolutely not everybody on the list. So no, it's not a 5 months waiting list. That was a tea strainer, yes, of course. Just I'm picking up little bits of hair that are in the soup here. I see one more. They're difficult to see because they're transparent. Is that a tea strainer? What is it? It's a little net on a string. I don't know where we got it. Kitchen supply store, I guess. Okay, let's do this thing. Let's go. Enough talk. This is my favorite brush, this little one. It's really my favorite brush. It's so nice. If we could clone it, Here we go. This is lighter, thinner paper than what I was doing yesterday. The whole thing has to move faster. I had a bit too much liquid inside that one. Knock it off twice. Yes, nice and smooth. The glue mixture is at 60 degrees. At least that's what the dial says. I haven't actually checked it. I think it's probably close. I don't think it's all that critical. It's got to be warm and soft, not boiling, not cold enough to congeal. The room temperature here right now is 12 degrees. If we didn't put the sizing in, the paper just would not be strong enough to stand up to the abuse of the printing. We would all actually love to use soft paper because it would be much easier. The pigment goes inside easily. It wouldn't be physically difficult to print. But the paper just doesn't survive. It would get fragments, it comes apart, it sticks to the block. The pulp in it just comes apart. Looking good, looking good. The paper's quite stiff. I don't know. I don't think so, really. I know it's really quite soft. I have to hold it quite carefully. If I hold it roughly, it leaves marks in the paper itself. Not quite sure. To me, it seems very, very soft. It's got sort of a. If I take a sheet of, this is the paper we use. Like that, or a piece of on a normal copy paper, has sort of a crackly feel to it. This washi paper is much softer. It doesn't have a crackle yet. After the sizing, it will do. Very, very light, very, very soft. I'm asking about stored in a dry place. What we're doing now, sizing for each job, is new. When I was working by myself before Mokuhankan, before I was doing this sizing, the paper was sized in mass batches. I ordered like 500 sheets at a time from the paper maker. It was sent out to the sizing guy and came back to me 500 sheets all sized. So I would use some of it that week, some of it the next month, some of it a year later, some of it 3 years later. So we have experience, of course, with using paper at different stages of having the sizing sit. There's no super dramatic difference. So now, after a few years, it does seem to get a bit softer and the paper is a bit easier to print, but the downside is you start to get a bit of pilling as the sizing gets softer. The paper fibers pull up a little bit because the sizing gets a bit weaker. But these days now, we're behind the 8 ball and we're sizing for each job. We have no pre-deck, no stock of pre-sized paper. We're sizing it per job. And that really actually is the better way because we can size it depending on the conditions, the temperature, the job that's needed. We're really learning how to do this. We're not experts at this part of it at all. All during my early time in Japan, this was done by professional craftsmen, professional sizers. And that's now nearly finished. There's just one guy left. He's no good at it anymore. He doesn't care and he's got no apprentice. So that's why we're doing it ourselves. We're forced to learn how to do this ourselves. And we're by no means experts at this. We're learning on the fly. The thing about the skilled sizer, what he brings to the table that I don't know, is all the nuances. This stuff is really sensitive to temperature and humidity, the thickness of the paper. Even what I've learned about it so far, now here in winter when it's quite cold here, I'm using a mix of 44 grams of glue per liter of water. And as we go towards the warmer spring and then into the summer, I have to increase the amount of glue. In the middle of hot summer, I'll be using 60 or 65 grams of glue per liter of water because the paper is so much weaker because it's warmer. In winter here, the paper, when they're printing, I'm talking about, when the printers are printing the paper, because the room is cold, the paper has more guts, more body, more strength. So the glue mix can be lower. That's the basic one that we've learned, but there's many, many, many more nuances about it. The sizing craftsman who's been doing it all his life. He's got bigger brushes, he knows how to use them, he can get it right across the sheet even as it goes. I'm struggling to get it, not from being too strong here and too weak here. There's really a lot a professional person can bring to the table here. A bit too much there. Landed too heavily. You're talking about the machine we're building, or the sizing assistant, whatever word it's going to be. We've got rollers that go in here. We're experimenting with to try and do the sizing semi-automated. And we're not trying to turn it into a completely automated process, but what that will remove is the little nuance about this part, how to do it quickly and then slowly in the angle of the brush standing up. The purpose of our machine is to turn it into something that other staff members here can do without having years of training. And hopefully the size will be more consistent across each sheet. That's the goal of that thing. It's pleasant work, just sit here peacefully, pleasantly, one sheet, the next sheet, the next sheet. All of our work is like that, peaceful, repetitive work. The sizing we're doing here, this last question in the stream, it's nothing to do with dimensions. Size as in dimensions. Size is the name for the mixture that goes into the paper before we can use it for printing. I don't know the derivation of the term. If you're looking for videos of paper making, there's a bunch on the internet. Of course, the guy who makes our paper, his name is Iwano Ichibe, and his paper is called Echizen. So if you're searching for Echizen Washi Iwano, you'll come up with the guy who makes our paper. Echizen, E-C-H-I-Z-E-N, Echizen Washi. And the family name is Iwano, I-W-A-N-O. And that should come up with some videos of our guy making the paper. Echizen Washi, there it is. There. Post a link, I think it should work. There's no barrier against this here. How long have I been doing this? 40 odd years, I guess. I think I made my first print in 1978 or 1979. I can't remember exactly. As a hobby, of course, back in Canada, many, many, many years ago. Are we putting the tree back together? I don't understand the illusion there. What's this a reference to? Are we putting the tree back together? You'll have to jog me on that. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking. Are we putting the tree back together? So good. It looks like a tree with the layers of rings. I see. No. This is the paper stack that's going to become individual woodblock prints. This is the paper with no glue on it. This is the paper with glue sizing on it. I'm not gluing them together. We're just laying them on one by one by one. When I finish putting the glue on, I will hang them up. Just hang around for half an hour or so. I'll hang them up to dry. Someone's asking about how is the wear going on the great wave blocks. It's almost unchanged. We've only made another 100 or so since I made that last video, part 16. That was only made a couple of months ago. We've only made another, I think, 100 since I made that video. So the wear hasn't changed at all. That block set is wonderful, wonderful. Well, why are we stacking the paper? It's because I can't spread 100 sheets all over the floor. I mean, what can I say? It's got to go in one place. The moisture too. The moisture is, I guess, working its way through the stack bit by bit by bit. The paper, there's not so much sticky glue here that the paper doesn't stick together. I say glue, and it is glue, but the dilution, you know, if I touch this stuff, it's just sort of like water. My fingers aren't sticking together. I can feel a tad stickiness, but it's not gluey, sticky glue. It's just, there's a light, it's a light glue, what can I say? Yeah, somebody noticed at last. I got an email about it the other day saying, Dave, where is he? So I thought, okay, let's bring him in here. He's been sitting in the shop where people see him in the shop and where it's part of the YouTube videos. So people were asking, so okay, yeah, I brought him up here today. Right there, front and center, and you never notice, really. God, you guys gotta get with it. People come to the shop all the time. I know I don't sit here and do this during the day. You know, this is before opening time. When people come to the shop, they see us and talk to us, but there's no chance to see me do this work during shop hours. Of course, I can't mix the two. When I'm in the shop during those hours, it's print parties or talking to viewers, talking to people who visit, you know. They come up the stairs, Dave, I've been watching on YouTube, great. We chat for a few minutes and they leave, or maybe they buy a print. Some people do, some people don't. A few minutes later, the next batch comes in. Sometimes the shop is really crowded. I don't get any work done at all during the day now. I've just sort of given up on that. So between 10 o'clock in the morning and around 5:30 or 6, I don't get any production work done. So it's got to be done before that time or after that time. I don't know if there's any beer in that refrigerator, nor is there beer in this refrigerator. This is the refrigerator where we keep our paper. Can you see it? This is the frozen paper from last night. This is Ishikawa-san. She's printing yokai. She might want the paper out today. I don't know. She asked me which pack. I should check that actually. Hang on a second. She wants the loot pack, not the yokai pack. Okay. That's the loot. She doesn't want this one. We've got the schedule on the fridge door. Today it's just Ishikawa-san that's coming. It's Sunday. But the schedule, you can't see, there's magnets on the fridge door with each printer letting me know when they're showing up. And that's my job in the morning, to look at the fridge door, look at the magnets and take out the paper for whoever's coming today. I won't be freezing this paper after sizing. The freezing, these are print jobs that are underway. The girls have moistened paper, started printing it, and you can't finish in one day. Most of the jobs they're doing, of course, can't be finished in one day. So at the end of the day, they wrap up the paper tightly in multiple layers of newspaper and in thick paper, plastic, and it goes in the freezer. It freezes overnight. And my job in the morning, as I get up, I have my shower over there this morning, 6 o'clock or so, then I come into this room, and my job is to check the buttons on the refrigerator door and take out the paper for whoever will be here today. So that 2 or 3 hours later, at 9 o'clock or so when they get here, it'll be defrosted and ready for them to work. I know of no other workshop that does this, but we found it a very, very effective way to keep the mold out of the paper. And I was, when I first experimented with that years ago, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, I was afraid maybe the crystallization or the freezing or something would damage the paper, would hurt it. And it doesn't. It makes it softer and smoother. The moisture just, as it defrosts, the moisture smooths out. We can't find any negative at all. Not keeping up with this. Why does the newspaper bleed? Japanese newspaper doesn't. It's just a high quality product. And the inks are good, high quality, the paper's high quality, and Japanese newspapers simply don't bleed. They don't get black on your fingers and they don't bleed into our report cards. I don't know the how or why or what, but simply it doesn't. People asking, is there food in this one? Lunchtime soup should be in there, I guess. It's just water, hot water, warm water. I'll use the warm water here for washing the brush when I'm done. So. I don't beat the devil out of the brush, but I sure shake it out after we've washed it. We shake it out as much as possible, and then it hangs up. The brushes hang up on a line here above my head. Talk about mixing the food and the glue, I had a funny one last week. I told you what I do. Those of you who were here this morning when I just opened up, the leftover sizing mixture from yesterday, I put it into this, PET bottle. And I put it in the refrigerator downstairs, not the freezer here. I didn't want to freeze it last night. But I kept the glue mixture in the refrigerator downstairs. That's in the party room. And that refrigerator, the purpose of the refrigerator in the party room was we keep the drinks there. Partway through our print parties, we have a coffee break. So some people want a hot drink, coffee. Some people want a cold drink, water or juice or whatever. So I've been keeping the glue mixture in a PET bottle in the refrigerator downstairs along with all the drinks. There's tea, there's cold coffee, there's juice, there's honey lemon, and there's my bottle of glue. And it was a couple of weeks ago during the day I was doing this. I was going to be sizing in the evening. So I went down there in the afternoon to take out the glue. And there's a party going on. So I make my way through the party, open the fridge door, reach in and grab and ask one of the girls, can I find my glue? Can I find my glue? And I guess one of the party attendees is like looking at me. I'm in the fridge and he just finished having his drink of juice or whatever. And here's Dave looking in the fridge for the glue. I guess there was a bit of a moment there. We had to laugh about it, but be careful not to get mixed up or something. The guy saying, I thought that juice tasted a bit funny or... everything's labeled, of course. My glue bottles don't have a label, but all the drinks have their own labels. It says, lemon tea or whatever. Of course. This one's just blank. Come for a print party and drink a glass of glue. It's probably tasty for all I know. I don't know. Yeah, somebody's pointing out this glue, it's just gelatin. It's the same stuff as the candy we eat, I think. This is just Nikawa glue. It's made from like bones and hides and stuff like that. It's gelatin. When I was trying this in Canada, I just went to the supermarket, got packages of gelatin and did it. It worked just fine. So this probably is quite edible. I don't know about tasty, but... Okay, there's number 60. This is what, it's 8:41, so this has taken me 40 minutes to do this. 60 sheets here. I've now got to flip it and do the back side. So the first few sheets have been sitting there for 40 minutes. They're all nicely soaked through. Over she goes. Out of the way. Board comes back in. Number one comes back, and again, as we mentioned yesterday, this is all happening backwards now. This is the back side of the sheet. It got the front side moved that way. So that was the head of the brush, this was the tail. It's now getting the back side the other way around. I'll put less moisture on now. Same dip, but I'm going to knock off once, twice, knock off quite heavily. Away we go. It feels like 2 sheets. Is that 2 or 1? Yeah, look at that. I had 2. Felt a bit heavy. Yeah, crows. We're next to a temple garden here. We're within a few yards of a temple garden, the famous Dempo. It's the temple that's attached to Sensoji. And yeah, there's crows in the garden. So, a few weeks from now, that garden will be open to the public. Every year, they open for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. With a donation, you can go in and walk around the garden. It's usually closed to the public. But coming up at the end of March, beginning of April, it'll be open for a couple of weeks. So. People asking about cherries. The main cherry season is certainly not here in Tokyo yet. It's down south somewhere, I guess. I don't know. It comes up the country from the south to the north. I mentioned in our stream the other day, we have one cherry tree blooming on our street, but it's a special kind of cherry. It's called an October cherry. It blooms twice a year in March and October, but the main cherries are not open in Tokyo yet. Not expected to be. We're a few weeks away yet. I think I'm going to put a bit of water, hot water in there. It's looking a bit thick here on the back. I think I'm going to... What have we got here? About 50. I haven't muted the email sounds. It's that those emails no longer come to me. When orders and stuff come in here, those emails don't come to my computer anymore. They go to Cameron's computer. So I don't see the orders and stuff like that anymore. So I miss the sounds though. I miss the email sounds. Can't be helped. All about the priorities. What's that beep we hear every once in a while? My mail does download. Every 5 minutes my mail checks, and I guess there's a beep that shows the mail is finished. Just mail in general. But I don't have any of the pre-programmed sounds here. I mean, none of the mails that trigger those pre-programmed sounds. Orders, new subscriptions, stuff like that. What have we got here? I don't even know myself. I don't hear anymore. If I ask get mail, click get mail. What sound comes? Nothing. Oh, there. That means mail has done, but there's no orders and stuff in it, so nothing that will trigger the interesting beeps. Well, there is one beep that's still there, which I never hear anymore, and that's this one. Look at that. See what happened? It slipped. Usually I just get my finger there so the paper doesn't slip. That one I missed. So as I hit the paper, it slipped. That first one now has a bit of a strong sizing strip there. No, it's interesting, this thing about the little strip or a blotch or whatever. When I was not so good at this, there would be big blotches I would drip. There was all kinds of double ups and stuff like this. And I used to mark those sheets so I could check later on what we were printing to see what kind of damage it did. And it never seemed to make any difference. So, we're trying to do this as carefully as we can, as neatly as we can. But it seems actually at the end of the day, stuff like that doesn't really matter too much. The important points here are the overall strength of the mix, how much glue is in the water, generally how much we get on the surface of the paper, how long I wait before hanging it up, the humidity in the room where I hang it up. If it's too dry, the paper dries too quickly, that really seems to make a big difference. So some stuff seems to be important, and some stuff doesn't seem to be too much important. And those little quick quirks and like that, where I just, got a bit too much heavy in one strip, as far as we can tell anyway, it doesn't seem to be too critical. The other things are far, far more important. The overall strength of the glue, the speed of drying, which is something I wouldn't have thought was important at all, but it is. It's got to dry slowly and steadily. If it dries too quickly, if we hang it up one by one with a window open, bang, it goes all crinkly and stuff. And even after you've finished your final print, those crinkles are still visible. It's got to dry smoothly. Were you running a humidifier to find my numbers? I'm not quite sure what you mean. When we dry it, the next step, and when I'm hanging it to dry, if the room really seems too bone dry, then we run the humidifier a little bit to help the paper dry a bit more slowly. Today it seems okay. It's a dry winter. The thing says 55%, so we're okay today. Now what we'll do today, I'm getting towards the end of the stack. There's maybe 10 sheets or so left. What I did yesterday was I simply ended the stream and didn't show the hanging up process. And I got an email from somebody saying, look, they'd like to see that. So what I'll do today, when I get to the end of this stack, I have to take it in the next room to hang it up. And the camera and stuff doesn't go that far. I have to unplug it and plug it back in. So I'll stop the stream, move the gear over into the next room, the camera and the video adapter and all that stuff. And then I'll restart. So it'll come back as a second stream once I've finished this stack. So for those of you who want to hang around and watch the hanging up part, you can do so. Not so interesting, but whatever. That's after we finish this stack. Someone's asking about the summer. It's the same system. Basically, we hang them up, hang them up, hang them up, but we can crack the window open a little bit wider because the air is so humid. If we left the room tightly sealed, then it wouldn't dry at all. So we have to get a bit of airflow. Well, we can't throw the windows wide open. There's just no way. Too busy freaking talking to people. Look at this, another one. Does the paper dry thicker on one side? I don't know. I know when I first started doing this, I was concerned about that. If we hang the sheet of paper up, would all the water run down to the bottom and gather at the bottom and stuff like that? It doesn't seem to do that. There's not so much loose water in these sheets. These sheets have soaked up this water and they're holding it. And it doesn't seem to run down. There's not that much loose moisture. When we use our dip machine, it does. The bottom end seems to get much more wet than the top end as we're hanging it. So yeah, a few weeks from now, this stack of paper will be a stack of great wave prints ready to be sent around the world. A whole lot of work before that happens, but how does it change in the summer? We up the glue. I know, as I said, the glue mixture right now, I forget what it was. I wrote it down this morning. It's 40. I think it's 44 grams of glue per liter of water. And by the time we're in the middle of hot August, that 44 will be up to somewhere around 60. We put much more glue in the water in the summertime. As we're printing in a hot room, the paper is softer. It needs more glue to give it a bit more guts. So in general, the glue mix is weaker in winter, stronger in summer. bit heavy at the end here. Which is the last sheet. Number 60. Brush now goes into the hot water to sit and soften up. I'll be back here to wash this. That leftover glue now will get tossed. There's no way I'm going to keep it 2 days in a row. So whatever's left over after the second day is going to get tossed. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to go in the next room and hang this up. I can't move the camera gear. It's got to be unplugged and moved over. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stop the stream here, but I'm going to keep all the windows open and everything. And those of you who want to watch the hanging up process, just stay where you are. The same chat window stays. And I believe this is what we did the other day. When I hit start button, it'll come back alive in the same window. So we're going to be down for about 5 minutes while I shut this down, move the paper to the next room, move the camera to the next room, move the computer to the next room. Hang in there and we'll see you in a few minutes if you're still around. If you're not, then I'll see you tomorrow. So pause streaming here. I'll be back as soon as I can get back up.